They drenched a black woman in soda at work, then her billionaire husband walked in. They said it was just a harmless joke, until the green tea hit Maya Carter's hair and dripped down her blouse like a neon scarlet warning. In that silent instant, the entire office froze. Taylor Reeves's mocking laughter ricocheted off the walls. Jordan Hall's phone illuminated her worst moment on social media, and Emma Cross whispered, "Diversity quota right." But what they didn't know was that Maya's composure wasn't fear. It was a countdown. 15 minutes from now, the chairman's private elevator would open, and her life would change forever. She wasn't just another analyst. She was someone they'd underestimated at their own peril. And tonight, Solis Consulting would learn what real power looks like. If you've ever watched cruelty unfold and felt powerless, hit that like button now, because this is more than a story. It's a battle cry. Subscribe and ring the bell to stand with Maya as she turns humiliation into a weapon. Drop a comment with your own experiences of overcoming injustice and share this video to ignite a revolution in every office that thinks fear is power. Maya Carter was 28 years old, the only person of color on the data analytics team at Solis Consulting in downtown Manhattan. She arrived each morning before sunrise, her breath visible in the lobby's cool marble air as she rode the private elevator up to the 42nd floor. Behind her calm eyes lay a lifetime of proving herself full scholarship at a state university internship offers turned down because her resume didn't fit the mold, and endless late nights teaching herself the latest machine learning techniques. Across the glass-walled office, Taylor Reeves, ivory blonde, impeccably dressed, smiled to colleagues as though Maya's existence were an inconvenience at best. Emma Cross, the eager HR assistant with sugar-sweet politeness, cataloged Maya's every misstep on her phone. Jordan Hall, the young account coordinator, lived for moments like this, capturing humiliation, posting it online, and watching the likes roll in. To them, Maya was a convenient symbol of diversity tokenism, someone they could mock without consequence. For 6 months, the microaggressions had built up like hidden cracks in concrete. Taylor spent entire meetings interrupting Maya's presentations, dismissing her insights on consumer behavior models. Emma rewrote organizational charts to exclude her from decision-making channels. Jordan tagged Maya in Slack channels with comments like, "Is this your big idea from public college?" And every time Maya raised her hand, her confidence was met with a flood of condescension disguised as corporate camaraderie. Today was supposed to be different. Maya had poured weeks of her life into the investor deck for a major tech fund. The slides were flawless predictions, matched forecasts, conservative margins, realistic. Her fingers hovered over the final click, ready to reveal the dashboard that would turbocharge client retention by 30%. But when the room was nearly empty, everyone off early for the holiday weekend, Taylor saw an opportunity. Jordan grabbed a cold can of green tea from the fridge. Emma positioned her phone for maximum angle. They surrounded Maya's desk, laughter warm and cruel. Maya felt the first drop of liquid hit her hair and thought, "This is what they call a diversity shower." But she did not flinch. The sticky tea ran down her blouse droplets, catching the fluorescent light like tiny emerald torches. In that moment, the office became a stage of silent witnesses, some amused, most indifferent. Only one person looked away in shame, David Kim from IT. Beneath her composed exterior, Maya's mind was racing. 15 minutes until the chairman's private elevator arrived. 15 minutes until everything changed. 15 minutes to let them feel safe in their cruelty, to make them think she was powerless. Because Maya Carter was not just an analyst, she was Lucas Bennett's wife. Lucas Bennett, the billionaire founder and CEO of Solis Group, and the man who had chosen her brilliance over pedigree when they met at a tech summit 2 years ago. He had watched her rise without using his name. He had seen how she documented every slight, every offhand remark, every covert recording of office gossip. He knew the silent strength in her gaze, the way she stored evidence like a hunter tracking prey. Now, as Maya stood drenched in humiliation, she reached inside her purse and touched the cool metal of her Patek Philippe, her signal to Lucas that the moment had come. She straightened her shoulders, picked up her phone and typed a single word: ready. Behind the tinted glass of the boardroom's private elevator doors, 3 security officers waited. Their expressions were unreadable, but they carried the weight of corporate power in their crisp uniforms. Maya exhaled once a soft release of breath she hadn't known she'd been holding. Because today the scales would tip. Today the hidden cracks would become a chasm. And today Solus Consulting would learn that underestimating Maya Carter was the gravest mistake they could ever make. Maya's fingers trembled for the briefest second as she watched Taylor Reeves' lean-in voice syrup sweet. "So tell me, Maya, does your algorithm even run without crashing? Or was that just another public college pipe dream?" Laughter rippled around the room as Jordan Hall raised his phone, ready to broadcast. Emma Cross perched on the edge of Maya's desk, eyes glinting with spite. The memory of every slight flashed through Maya's mind, Taylor interrupting her mid-sentence last Tuesday. Emma quietly rerouting client emails around her Jordan, tagging her in group chats with mocking emojis. But now, with fewer witnesses, many already gone home for the holiday weekend, they felt emboldened. Jordan popped the tab on a bottle of green tea, the hiss echoing in Maya's ears like a starting pistol. Taylor's smile stretched colder. "Oh, I'm sorry, didn't realize you needed a refresher on mediocrity." With a deliberate motion, she tipped the bottle. The pale liquid arced through the fluorescent air and splashed over Maya's head, soaking into her curls and dark blouse. For a heartbeat, time-stuttered droplets clung to Maya's eyelashes. The hum of the overhead lights grew unnaturally loud. "Diversity wash," Brad Mitchell shouted from the corner, voice thick with amusement. He advanced, phone raised, framing the moment for maximum humiliation. Emma giggled, tapping out a caption, "When quotas meet reality." Maya stood motionless. Her chest tightened, but her face remained composed. Internally, a storm raged, decades of bias, every discouraging comment, every door slammed shut because of her skin color. She felt the hot sting of betrayal, the bitter taste of indignity. Yet outwardly, she straightened her spine. They didn't see the steely resolve igniting behind her dark eyes. They didn't know what she'd been building in secret. "Laugh all you want," Maya said, voice low but steady. "But you're about to become the world's worst case study in corporate failure." Taylor's lip curled. "Is that a threat? Or another glitch in your code?" Maya's gaze flicked to the corner of her desk, where her phone lay open to the messaging app. A single word sat unsent, ready. She inhaled slowly, tasting the faint lemon note of the tea still clinging to her throat, and exhaled. Jordan took a step forward, but Maya's hand shot out. Without raising her voice, she leaned in close, so only he could hear, "Stop recording, or you'll miss the best part." He blinked, uncertainty flickering across his face. Emma frowned, confusion replacing amusement. What are you talking about?" Maya tilted her head towards the glass wall overlooking the empty lobby. "You've got 15 minutes before the chairman's elevator doors open." Silence cracked the room. The 3 bullies exchanged glances. How could she know Maya allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible smile? 15 minutes, she repeated. "Enjoy your victory lap while you can." Taylor opened her mouth, but Jordan stepped back, lowering his phone. Emma's fingers hovered over the send button, doubt seeping in. Seconds stretched into tense stillness. Then from the lobby below, the soft ding of the private elevator's arrival echoed. Maya watched their faces cloud over. She took a step back, smoothing the front of her blouse as if straightening a dress for a presentation. "Oh, one more thing." She tapped her watch. "I've been timing every second." Taylor shot back a mocking laugh that died on her lips as the elevator doors parted. 3 security officers emerged, their posture, rigid badges gleaming. Behind them stood Lucas Bennett, tall, immaculately dressed eyes sharp as obsidian. Maya's heart rate steadied. The moment she'd prepared for had arrived. Lucas swept into the office, gaze fixed on the 3 culprits. "Taylor Reeves," he said, voice low and lethal, contact human resources. "Jordan Hall and Emma Cross, gather your things immediately. Taylor's face drained of color. "Are you insane? This is my team. I decide who stays." Lucas's smile was thin. "Not here. Solus Group owns the majority share of this company." He gestured to Maya. "Maya, are you all right?" Taylor stammered. "But she's just an analyst." Maya stepped forward, chest rising with newfound confidence. "I'm more than that." Lucas's gaze softened as he offered Maya his arm. She accepted it, chin lifted. Emma fumbled for words. "This is ridiculous." Maya raised her voice so the entire room could hear. "I documented everything, emails, recordings, videos. This," she nodded at the wet stain on her blouse, "is my opening exhibit." Lucas nodded to one of the guards who handed out folders to Taylor, Jordan, and Emma. The three stared, mouths agape. Inside those folders were printouts of Taylor's condescending emails, transcripts of Emma's whispered phone calls admitting quotas were a joke, and Jordan's Slack messages mocking Maya's background. Maya's voice rang out over the stunned silence. "For 6 months you built a hostile environment. Now your shares will be used to fund the Carter Scholarship, $5 million each for young women in STEM." Brad sputtered, "You can't, this is extortion." Marcus Lee, Maya's attorney, stepped forward. "No, Brad, it's accountability. These actions constitute moral harassment and discrimination under New York law." Maya watched as horror replaced arrogance on their faces. Colleagues peeked through the glass wall, whispers rippling like static. One by one, other employees lowered their eyes, shame replacing their earlier indifference. Taylor sank into a chair, tears brimming. Jordan's phone slipped from his hand. Emma covered her face, crumpling. Maya turned back to Lucas. "Project Orion," she announced, voice strong, "is now officially Solus Group property. Its predictive analytics have already increased client retention by 50%. The patent is under my name." Lucas placed a hand on her shoulder. "And we'll be unveiling it in next week's board meeting." Maya exhaled relief and triumph, mingling in her chest. The crescendo of cruelty had broken over her, only to leave behind the foundation for her victory. As the security officers escorted Taylor, Jordan, and Emma out, Maya held her head high. She'd faced their worst and turned it into her greatest moment. Overhead, the fluorescent lights hummed with a new electricity. The office that had once been her battleground was now the proving ground for Maya's revolution. And as the private elevator doors closed, Maya Carter knew that no one would ever underestimate her again. Maya felt her heart settle into a steady rhythm as the private elevator doors slid shut behind Lucas Bennett and his security detail. In that instant, the power dynamic in the room snapped upside down. No longer was she the target, she was the orchestrator. She raised her voice just enough to carry over the stunned silence. "Thank you, Lucas," she said, allowing a brief, genuine smile. "Now let's get to work." Lucas nodded and gestured toward Maya's desk. As the security officers discreetly guided Taylor, Jordan, and Emma toward the exit, Maya took a deep breath. This was the moment she'd been constructing piece by meticulous piece for weeks. "Marcus," she said, turning to her longtime friend and Solus Group's lead counsel, "initiate step 1. He tapped a tablet, and the giant monitors lining the conference room flickered to life, displaying a countdown timer set for 20 minutes. "First," Maya continued, "we distribute the evidence folders already prepared, documented racist emails, audio clips of condescending remarks, and the video footage from today." Marcus engaged the secure network, and digital copies zipped to every senior manager's inbox, each file locked behind an acknowledgement receipt. Within seconds, unread counts ticked higher, 25 recipients, 52,104. Second, Maya said, "We activate public notification." Lucas's fingers flew over his phone to trigger the internal memo drafted by Maya herself, a comprehensive diversity and inclusion overhaul, effective immediately, with new auditing protocols and third-party oversight. The memo was queued for release at 4:00 p.m., just 7 minutes away. Emma's face flushed and tear-streaked, peeked back through the conference room glass. Maya allowed herself a moment to observe the raw shock in her tormentor's eyes. They had no idea how thoroughly she'd catalogued every slight, every whisper, every joke. Third, Maya went on, "We unveil Project Orion." She tapped her watch, and a second screen lit up live results from an A/B test showing a 50% increase in client retention real-time metrics glowing green. This algorithm, she said voice firm, is now proprietary to Solus Group. Patent filings have been approved. Revenue projections show a $30 million boost in Q4 alone. Around the room, senior executives leaned forward, some nodding slowly, others exchanging astonished glances. The same people who once dismissed her expertise were now riveted by her vision. "Final step," Maya whispered. "We reallocate the seized shares." She tapped once more on Marcus's tablet. A graphic appeared, 3 bars labeled Taylor, Jordan, and Emma, each descending to 0 and transferring equity into the Carter Scholarship Fund. $5 million each, Maya announced, to support underrepresented women in STEM. Effective immediately. Lucas reached over, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "Well played, Maya." At that moment, Maya felt the weight of every insult lift off her shoulders. The room's atmosphere shifted from hostility to admiration. David Kim from IT slipped inside, eyes bright. I'm proud of you," he murmured. Maya allowed herself a subtle nod. This was more than retribution. It was a blueprint for justice. The digital clock on the screen ticked down the final seconds. As it hit 0, the entire company's desktop notifications chimed in unison with an urgent official banner, "Mandatory D&I Audit." New leadership in data analytics, scholarship fund established. A thunderous ripple of realization washed through the office. Maya Carter had not only reclaimed her dignity, she'd rewritten the rules for every employee, every leader, every company that thought they could demean someone without consequence. And in that charged silence, she knew the true revolution had only just begun. Maya Carter's voice is calm but charged as the conference room lights dim and the first slide flickers into view, a stark title in bold red letters, "Evidence of Hostile Work Environment." She steps forward, letting her soaked blouse dry on her shoulders as the slide changes to a screenshot of Taylor Reeves's lunchtime email addressed to all staff. Reading reminder quotas. "Don't guarantee quality. Let's keep expectations realistic." The room hums with uneasy murmurs. She lets the silence stretch just long enough for the words to sink in. "That email was sent 2 weeks ago," Maya continues. "It's Exhibit A in a pattern of overt discrimination." She gestures, and the next slide shows a timeline of insults and interruptions. February 3rd, Taylor cuts off Maya mid-presentation. March 12th, Emma Cross reroutes Maya's client call. April 27th, Jordan Hall posts a GIF mocking public college graduates with the caption, "Bye, Felicia." Each entry is time-stamped, linked to chat logs and calendar invites. As the sequence plays out, Maya watches the color drain from Taylor's face. Emma shifts awkwardly, fingers twitching over her phone. Jordan glances at the floor. For 6 months, Maya's voice holds steady. "You 3 have treated me like a disposable prop in your corporate theater. Today, however, I chose to document every moment." She clicks a remote. A video clip begins. Jordan's phone wobbles as he taunts Maya, "Diversity shower incoming." Then the bottle tipping, the green tea cascading in slow motion, Maya's curls absorbing the liquid like a crucible. The sound of laughter echoes crisp and cruel. The laughter in the room stops. The silence is so powerful Maya can hear her own pulse. She allows the clip to loop twice, then advances to a split screen on the left, the original video. On the right, a transcript of Jordan's voice captured by Maya's ambient recording app. The text scrolls in real time. I bet she takes the subway from the Bronx. Above it, a label reads, "Racial Harassment Section 296.1, a NY exec. Law." Maya's tone shifts from measured to unflinching. "This is not a joke. Under New York law, these are hate crimes, moral harassment. The penalties can include up to 5 years in prison, civil damages, and immediate termination with cause." She lets that hang, glancing at the HR manager, who's been forced to watch. With a click, Marcus Lee's image appears alongside Maya's Solus Group's lead counsel, holding a stack of printed documents. I have here sworn affidavits from colleagues who witnessed these events, he announces. A file lamp beams down on 3 folders placed on the conference table, each bearing Taylor's, Jordan's, and Emma's names in crisp type. Marcus opens Taylor's folder. First, pulling out a printed Slack transcript, Taylor mocking Maya's accent in a private channel, followed by an HR ticket that was never logged. A direct violation of your own company policy, Marcus notes, sliding it back. Maya steps back into the frame. Next, she says, let's talk about client emails. A new slide displays Emma's screen recording her mouse cursor hovering over the Reply All button, then dragging Maya's name out of the recipient list. In the screenshot caption, Emma can be heard whispering. She doesn't need to know about this $1 million account. Emma's hand trembles. Maya's voice softens just a fraction. You said you did it for efficiency. I did it for fairness. Then Maya drops the final bombshell, Project Orion. The screen pulses with the project logo. Underneath metrics, scroll upward. 47% increase in renewal rates, 22% uplift in cross-sell conversions, projected $30 million revenue boost. A bar graph rises as Maya narrates. Over the past quarter, I built and tested an AI-driven predictive model that would have taken this firm's analytics division from laggard to leader. I filed for patent protection 2 weeks ago, under my name. Heads turn, astonished. The same executives who ridiculed her methods now lean forward, eyes wide. Maya lets the numbers speak. Solus Group has exercised its option to acquire this project. The patent transfer is effective immediately. She steps aside as Lucas Bennett's projection appears a statement of corporate policy overhaul. Drafted in Maya's hand, all diversity and inclusion audits will be conducted by a third-party committee. Quarterly reports are now public. Any future incidents of discrimination will trigger automatic share seizures. The digital banner rolls across the bottom of the slide, effective today. At that moment, the final slide emerges 3 columns labeled Taylor Reeves, Jordan Hall, and Emma Cross, each with a graphic of plummeting equity shares arrows pointing towards the Carter Scholarship Fund. Maya's voice echoes. As of this afternoon, your shares in Solus Consulting, and by extension your stake in Solus Group, have been reallocated to seed the Maya Carter Scholarship dedicated to underrepresented women in STEM. $5 million each. The room is still. Then Taylor's voice cracks. You can't do this. This is corporate theft. Marcus interjects calmly. Not theft. Enforcement of contract clauses and NYS anti-discrimination statutes. These share reallocations are fully authorized under Section 5.4 of Solus Consulting's bylaws, material breach of conduct obligations, and ratified by Solus Group's board. He nods to Maya. Maya picks up her phone again. I will now play the 30-second clip from Emma's recorded confession. A voice plays. Honestly, it's all for show. Diversity quotas mean nothing if we can't maintain our elite image. Emma's face goes pale as the words echo. For the first time in months, colleagues in the back row shift, uncomfortably realizing how complicit many of them have been by silence. One by one, they avert their eyes. Maya continues. Jordan, you tried to monetize my humiliation. Your video had 2,300 views within 10 minutes. I have already contacted every major media outlet with the unedited footage and context. Expect a public inquiry by tomorrow. Jordan's shoulders slump. His bravado evaporates. Maya turns to Taylor, voice measured. And you, Taylor, your reputation for developing talent has been exposed as a facade. You have 10 minutes to vacate your office. Taylor stumbles back, voice trembling. You can't ruin me like this. Maya's expression is resolute. I already have. She allows a beat of silence, then addresses the remaining staff. Let this be a lesson. Diversity isn't a checkbox. It's a responsibility. Now, if there are no further questions. She steps away from the lectern. Lucas Bennett rises to stand next to her, his presence a silent seal on her words. Security officers subtly move forward, opening the doors behind the three former colleagues. As the doors close, Maya's final words reverberate. Revenge destroys. Justice builds. Today we build a future where no one can mock anyone's identity without consequence. In that charged aftermath, the audience of executives and analysts sits in stunned silence, the weight of Maya's meticulously executed counterstrike settling over them like a verdict read aloud. The microphone cuts out. The lights click back on. Maya closes her laptop, water droplets forgotten, and walks toward the exit. Each step echoes with the promise that from this moment on, Solus Consulting and every company that hears her story will know exactly what happens when they underestimate someone they assume is powerless. The conference room remained suspended in stunned silence as Taylor Reeves, Jordan Hall, and Emma Cross were escorted out, their heads bowed under the weight of documented disgrace. Maya Carter stood at the front, shoulders, squared eyes glinting with hard-won victory. Around her, the remaining executives and analysts slowly exhaled the tension in their bodies, releasing in a collective wave. David Kim from IT, the one person who had shown her a flicker of compassion weeks ago, stepped forward and offered a tentative applause that rippled through the room. "Incredible work, Maya," he said, voice thick with admiration. Others followed, some hesitant, some eager, until the room was filled with genuine, if reluctant, respect. The same people who had watched her be humiliated now saw her as the architect of a new era. Outside the glass walls, whispers raced through the empty cubicles. Group chats lit up with notifications. "Did you see the memo project? Orion is a game changer. Carter Scholarship Fund. That's $15 million seeded today." Phones emerged as senior managers snapped pictures of the internal bulletin, the comprehensive diversity and inclusion overhaul, the immediate audit requirements, the scholarship announcement already trending as George Carter effect on their private networks. Within 10 minutes, the company's intranet was ablaze. A banner flashed across every desktop: mandatory D&I audit, new leadership in analytics, Carter Scholarship Fund established. Teams paused their work reading the fine print that confirmed the forfeiture of Taylor, Jordan, and Emma's shares, and the immediate redirection of millions into scholarships for underrepresented women in STEM. Some employees wept quietly, overwhelmed by relief and hope. Others, long cynical about corporate promises, felt a spark of belief that real change was possible. At 5:00 p.m. sharp, the CEO of Apex Ventures, one of Solus Group's largest clients, pinged Lucas Bennett directly to express unwavering support. Within the hour, 2 more Fortune 500 partners had scheduled emergency calls to align their own diversity protocols with Solus Consulting's new standards. The ripple effect was undeniable. Maya's personal vindication had triggered a corporate domino that none of the perpetrators could have foreseen. Meanwhile, the first scholarship applications began rolling in. Maya watched as her inbox filled with messages from young women across the country, a first-generation college student in Detroit, a coding prodigy from rural Alabama, a refugee rebuilding her life in Chicago. Each email carried the same mix of gratitude and astonishment. "I never thought someone would see me this way," one student wrote. "Thank you for proving that my hard work matters more than my background." Back in the now quiet conference room, Lucas turned to Maya and offered his hand. "You've done more than defend yourself today. You've set a new standard for every boardroom, every CEO, every colleague." Maya accepted, a soft smile breaking through her usual calm. "It wasn't just for me," she replied. "It was for every person who's ever been silenced by prejudice." As dusk settled over Manhattan, media outlets caught wind of the internal leak. By evening, headlines blazed, analyst turns the tables, how Maya Carter's coup at Solus Consulting is shaking corporate America. Billionaire CEO partners with wife to overhaul diversity standards. Green tea incident triggers 15 pool Madler scholarship fund and patent-backed AI breakthrough. The 3 former culprits found themselves in the crosshairs of public outrage. Jordan's personal social media imploded with recriminations. Emma's HR credentials were questioned on LinkedIn. Taylor's professional network collapsed overnight. Attempts to defend themselves only amplified the backlash. Each had underestimated the potency of documented evidence, and the woman they believed powerless. Inside Solus Consulting, a new energy hummed. Teams gathered not to hurl insults, but to celebrate Maya's algorithm's success. Project Orion's live dashboard still displayed real-time gains, a glowing testament to her skill and foresight. Managers who once dismissed her ideas now lobbied for her leadership on every major initiative. In a final twist of fate, as the financial quarter closed, Solus Group reported a 12% increase in revenue directly attributed to Project Orion, a figure that outpaced projections by 150%. Analysts called it the Carter effect, noting that for every dollar invested in diversity and inclusion under Maya's framework, the firm saw a 5-fold return in profitability and innovation. Maya closed her laptop and stood gazing out at the panoramic skyline. The droplets of green tea had long since dried on her blouse, but the stain they left was indelible, a symbol of how a single moment of cruelty, when met with courage and strategy, can ignite a revolution. She turned back to the room where colleagues now viewed her not as the isolated diversity hire, but as a transformative leader who proved that justice isn't just a moral imperative, it's a competitive advantage. And as the applause rose again, Maya Carter knew that her victory was not the end, but the beginning of a legacy that would redefine corporate power for years to come.